Hello, my name's Mary, and I'm coming to you from the children's room of the Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine, to tell a story. And today I'm going to tell Pickin Peas. Now, we do have a book of Pickin Peas, which was retold by wonderful storyteller Margaret Reed McDonald. And she put it down on paper so that you can come into the library and get a copy. But it is from the oral tradition, and so I am going to tell the story as it was first told. Little girl planted some peas. Along come July, she went out, she saw those peas were growing beautifully. They were ready to be picked. So she went, she got her pail. She started down the row. And as she went, she picked the biggest, juiciest peas and put them in her pail. But she left the little itty-bitty ones to grow a little longer. But as she picked them, she sang, "Pickin' peas, put 'em in my pail. Pickin' peas, put 'em in my pail. Pickin' peas, put 'em in my pail." Now down in the holler, there lived a pesky old rabbit, and that rabbit had been watching those peas too. And he saw her go out with the pail, and he thought, they really must be ready now. So he hopped into the row right behind her and went along and picked every pea he saw. He didn't care if it was big or little. He just picked it, and he sang, "Pickin' peas, land on my knees." Because every time he picked a pea, he landed on his knees. So this continued. Little girl went down one row picking all the peas, and as she turned to go round down the next row, that rabbit was coming right down the row she'd finished. So they were in different rows, and he was following. But she kept picking her peas. "Pickin' peas, put 'em in my pail. Pickin' peas, put 'em in my pail." And he was picking his peas. "Pickin' peas, land on my knees. Pickin' peas, land on my knees." Well, suddenly, that little girl kind of stopped and thought, I don't know, I just have a feeling that I'm being followed. I know, I'll stop my song in the middle, see what happens. So, little girl sang, "Pickin' peas, put 'em, land on my knees," is what she heard. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. I do believe that rabbit is following me. I do believe he's right here in my garden, and I do believe he's picking my peas. So she thought for a minute. She thought, well, if I continue down my row and turn the corner, I bet I'll see him down at the end of the row I already picked. So she did. She went down the end of her row. She turned the corner, and there was the rabbit right down at the end of the row. So she started to tiptoe down the row, and she went very quietly. "Pickin' peas, land on my knees." She just kept getting closer and closer to the rabbit. "Pickin' peas, land on my knees." She got so close, she started to reach out her hands. "Pickin' peas, land on my..." She caught him. "Mr. Rabbit, tell me, what were you singing?" I was singing, "There's Picking up roots, land on my foots. That's not what you were singing, and you know it. What were you singing? And she squeezed it just a little harder. Ooh, all right. I was singing. You were in here picking peas, weren't you? Maybe. So what were you singing? All right. I was singing Pickin Peas, land on my knees. I knew it. You've been following me and you've been picking my peas. So I'm going to take you home and I'm going to put you in a box until pea picking season's over. So she picked up her peas and she picked up that rabbit by the scruff of his neck and she carried him home. And when she got to her house, she opened up a box. She put the rabbit in. She put the lid down good. And then she put a pot on top so no one could open that lid. And then she cooked up her peas. And she melted butter over them. And she had them nice and hot and fresh. And they were so good. And she was just about to go and get some more when she heard from the box, "Pickin' peas, laid on my knees." That box was rocking a little. "Mr. Rabbit, what are you doing?" "Well, trying to dance, but it's kind of hard in a box." "Well, you can't dance in a box." "Well, I'm finding that out, aren't I? So, hey, you know, if you put me on top of the box, then I could dance and entertain you while you're eating." "Oh, well, this I gotta see," said the little girl. So she went over to the box. She picked up the lid. She took out that rabbit. She put the lid down. She put the rabbit right on top of that lid. And there he started singing, "Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there. Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there." And every time he said right over there, he'd hop to the right. And he was hopping all over the top of that box. And that little girl, she said, "Mr. Rabbit, you are very good." "Well, if you think I'm good on top of this box, you should put me on that table over by the window. Then you'll really see how good I can dance." So the little girl, she picked up Mr. Rabbit, she brought him over to the table, and there he started in. "Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there. Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there." Back and forth, he danced from one end of that table to the other, and the little girl, she clapped her hands and she said, "Mr. Rabbit, I love your dancing." He said, "If you think my dancing's good now, put me on the windowsill and you'll see how really great I am." So the little girl, she picked him up, she put him on the windowsill, and in he started. "Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there." He went from one end of the windowsill to the other end of the windowsill. Then he started back. "Pickin' peas, laying on my knees, heard my mama calling me right over there." And out the window he went. He looked back at that little girl as he was hopping away, and he said, "Picked your peas, landing on my knees, gonna eat all I want, 'cause you can't catch me." Off he went. And I'd like to tell you that rabbit never bothered that little girl again. But bright and early, the very next morning, there he was, right in her garden, picking peas and landing on his knees. And that's the story of Pickin' Peas. Now you can get a copy of the book at the library. It's Pickin' Peas. It's retold by Margaret Reed McDonald with pictures by Pat Cummings. And this book was published by HarperCollins Publishers in 1998. So, my name's Mary, and I'm coming to you from the Children's Room of the Portland Public Library. And until next time, bye-bye.